Okay, so um, first of all, thank you very much again for coming to today's class. Today is our fifth, I guess, or fourth, or fifth, right? Probably. Yeah, today is our fifth Greek class, and in the previous class, I talked about. Wait a minute, it's a little bit noisy outside. Just to close the window. Okay. So, oh, really? Oh, okay. So before we start, I want to give an overview of what we have discussed last time. So actually, last time we talked about two interesting. I mean, as at least for me, yeah, it's pretty interesting. Two interesting words, namely the Greek. Okay, I make it a little bit bigger so that you can see better. Yeah, wait a minute. Yeah, so in our previous class, we talked about two interesting words. And one is the Greek word philos, and we checked some examples, some occurrences of this word in Iliad, in Homer. Like, for example, phila gunata, and also philon etor. In the how to say that, in the popular, or in the how to say that, in the authoritative translations, like in Loeb, English and German by Schadwald, we have the translation actually for phila gunata, my niece, or meine Knie, which means that we don't have the Euro meaning dear or lovely or beloved in this context. And again, the example in book 3, Iliad, Philon Ator, is actually his own heart, not really his lovely heart or his dear heart. And so based on such examples and also other parallels, we know that philos in Greek means actually at the very beginning his own, belonging to the same group, like the philo xenos. So xenos, the foreign one, the guest, is actually belonging to the other group, right? Yeah. So at the very beginning, philo has not that effective. It's not effective. It's not that effective. It's not that emotional, but kind of neutral and express the meaning of social relationships. So this is a very important concept in the ancient society. Of course, in ancient Greece and also in ancient India. And the counterpart, not really etymologically, but semantically, is the Sanskrit word called priya. What we have discussed earlier in the Ashoka inscription called devānāṃpriya, which also means originally him belonging to the same group, his own, something like that. Okay, and then we checked the Old English called freonāman, which actually means family name, or in Latin it's cognomine. So it's actually freo is etymologically connected with Sanskrit priya, which means his own name. Okay. Yeah, and this is basically what we have discussed last time. And today, we before we move on to the to other topics, because we are going to read some passages from Homer, and also discuss forms of the Homeric Greek. And before we move on to this new topic, I just want to mention some details from our previous lesson. Namely, you see kind of a morphological problem. We have, this is what we already discussed last time, the compound philo, xenos. Philo is actually the first part, xenos the second part, just like philosophos. Philo first part, sophos the second part. So the more correct translation would be having the guest, having the foreigner as his own member, having sophos the wise, the clever thing as his own thing, as his own. And then we have another compound called Theophiles, which means that which is dear for the god, or for beloved by the god. So you see here we really have the so-called because in the Chinese, I'm not sure if because I haven't read a lot of Chinese books on Greek linguistics or Greek culture. But if you check like Baidu or other popular sources, you will know that philosophos is really translated like love or loving wisdom, loving wise things like that. But this is not, I mean, semantically, it can be understood like that, but I mean, linguistically, syntactically, it is better to translate it as bahuvrihi in Sanskrit. So then take a look. This is actually the real thing that you can translate as loving something or loved by something as having the verb. 就是我用中文讲一下，就是事实上大家看好这个词啊，就是大家去查那个 ，so if you check the dictionary, I will find the word for you. Again, in the can make it a little bit bigger. So you see, actually, we have first the noun. We first have the noun or adjective first, philos. So I just use the transcription. It's okay, yeah, I hope, yeah. So first we have philos, and then we have phileo, right? So here you see wait a minute. Phile. I just want to find. Wait a minute. Ah, here, yeah. You see verba, yeah. Yeah. So you see that, and then we have the verb called phileo, right? Phileo, yeah. Okay. So you can see that this is a stem, right? The stem with the O. This is nominal. This is nomen. And then you see this is a verb, right? So this is a noun. and then this is a verb. And for this verb is derived from the noun. 因为动词是从名词演变过来的。So then this verb, we have another name called denominative. Denominative verb. So this is actually denominative. Denominative means des is Latin for from. So it is a verb from the nominal. So that's why we call it denominative. Yeah. So, and then you see that the noun has the O grade, right, for the suffix. And then the verb has the E grade. So this is actually the symbol of, or this is the criteria to tell if the compound, this is the moment. So pay attention to the vowel. This is actually the criteria for telling the exact meaning of the compound. And then, so you see this verb, or this compound, cell fides, is actually from the verb, because the verb has the E grade, has the air vowel, right? Has the air. But this one is from the, more likely, yeah, is from the noun, right? And then move on to the next step. So this ace is a very popular, so the ending, wait a minute, I write it here. So this ending, S, wait a minute, S is a very popular adjective ending in Greek. And this, like, there's a compound called eumenes. Eumenes has a very good counterpart in Sanskrit. It's called su manas. So su is good, and eu is also good. So they go back to the, actually, the laryngeal one. Wait a minute. So this is a very important in Indo-European word. So this is, no, sorry. So this is, sorry. So this is a PIE form for a good. This is good. Yeah. This is good. And then you see, if we have this form, and then this air turns into a air in Greek, right? So what about the? So we talked about Greek. So this is Greek. So first, so originally it is H1 su, and then in Greek H1 becomes a air, and S between consonants disappears. So this is why we have EU in Greek. This is the reason. And then what is the result in Vedic? So in Vedic, the first, how do you say that? The beginning, unlaut, onset is not really a good correspondence. The first unlaut so unlaut means the beginning sound of the word. So the beginning sound. So unlaut disappears. So unlaut laryngeal. Sorry, unlaut laryngeal. Unlaut laryngeal disappears to zero. Yeah. And then we have this su. So this is disappears, and then we have this su. So this is a correspondence. And then take a look. In Greek, it is actually, so in Greek, originally it is eumenes, right? So this is a stem. This is a stem. And for the singular, for the nominative singular, you usually have an S, right? And then if you put S after this stem, it will become this one. This A is lengthened because of a law called the Semantic law, but you can forget the name. You just need to know that two consonants is simplified and only one remains. And then the previous consonant, previous vowel is lengthened. So this is kind of a compensatory lengthening. Okay, since you already know the English name, I just use the German one. So it's called Ersatzdehnung. Yeah. So in German, it's called Ersatzdehnung. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Ersatz is compensatory, and Dehnung is lengthening. Yeah. Okay. And then what happens in Greek? What happens in Sanskrit? So you see that in Sanskrit it is su menes again and plus a s. So again it becomes su menes, and a becomes a r, and lang a also becomes a lang r. So this is a result in Greek, in Vedic. Sorry. And then what about the next one? The next one, you check it. So the stem is like this. This is a stem. And then if you want to get a genitive singular, it really has upload, because as we already mentioned, originally for example, in Hittite, originally in Hittite, genitive singular is also S, and it is exactly the same as the nominative singular. So this is the original form, but you already see the problem, right? If we have the same form, you cannot tell the difference. So that's probably the reason why in Greek and also in Sanskrit, we have an upload. We have a different, so this one, you see, this is 0 grade. And this one, you see, this is O grade, right? This is O grade. So there's an upload in the ending. And then you have it like L plus the os. So always stem plus ending. So always stem, this is stem, and this is ending. Yeah. And then you have eumenes and eumenesos, right? And then again, s disappears, and then you have eu or eo, and eo becomes a u, long as u in Greek. So it is eumenus. And in Sanskrit, there is no such disappearing. So S is S, right? So you have su manasas. So in Greek, in Sanskrit, you would have, this is su, and A becomes R, A becomes R, and O, pay attention, this is not an open syllable. So again, it is A, because this is not an open syllable, it is at the end, right? So this is a very, how do you say that? A very productive class of adjectives in Indo-European languages. So it is basically from the S neuter. So it is, this is basically this kind of adjective built from S neuter, like manas, of course, you know, and menos, right, and so on. There's a lot of this as. There are a lot of these S used in Indo-European languages. Okay, so this is the first point. And then the second point is the semantic change. And we already know that actually in, how do you say that? We already know that in Ashoka inscription, devānāṃpriya means the how do you say that, belonging to the gods, the member of the gods, which is dear to the gods, right? So kind of a member of gods and dear to the gods. Yeah. A member of the gods, dear to the gods, right? But in later Sanskrit text, let's check it. So this is actually a paper by Yuan Shi, Minoru Hara, right? Hara Minoru. So it's a Japanese scholar called Yuan Shi. Yeah, Hara. So so he's a professor in. He was a professor in Tokyo University. So this is a paper by Hara, and he told us that actually in already in the time of Patanjali or in Pāṇini, let's check it. So Katyayana apparently was aware of semantic degradation when he included it under Pāṇini rule 6321, Shashtya Akroshe. So let's check the occurrence of this. So you find it in the Mahabhashya, and Mahabhashya is a commentary to Pāṇini's Ashtadhyayi, and probably we can first check the occurrences of Ashtadhyayi. And I hope you know which editions we can use or which book we can use. For the Pāṇini's grammatic, I would recommend for the clarity and for the better understanding, this one by Sumitra Katre called Ashtadhyayi of Pāṇini. It's published in 1995 or 1987. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And if we move on to 6321, right? 6321. So this is a Pāṇini Sutra. So it's called Shashtya Akroshe. Means that before a final member of a compound, Luk does not replace the sixth triplet introduced after first member when denoting an insult. So what does this mean? Although I think it's a little bit complicated or difficult to understand. Even I read the English translation. So it talks about the compound. So actually, in Sanskrit, if we have if we want to express, so this is an example from Kashika. So you always, so I will explain some terminologies here. It's okay. It's not that important. So here is the so here is the Pāṇini Sutra, and then the translation with a lot of how to say that supplementary information, because the sutra itself is so short. It is really difficult to understand because in sutra you only have shashtiach and akroshe. So shashtiach is actually it comes from shashti, right? And shashti is 6, and this is feminine, means that the sixth case, that is the genitive case. So I will explain a little bit of. So this is shashti, right? And shashti means the sixth, actually the sixth case, namely the genitive case, right? The genitive case. Okay, and then we have shashtiach, right? And what we have here is shashtiach. And can anyone tell me, I'm sure that a lot of you have learned Sanskrit here. So what is the case, what is the case of shashtiya? So shashti here is a stem, right? So what is the case of shashtiyach here? So this is actually the E stem, right? And if you check the dictionary, E stem has, I think Dr. Zhao has already talked about this stem, right? So E stem, long E stem, and shashtiyach, what is the case of this shashtiyach? So which case? Yeah. 你们可以听到吗？就是我问你们这个词，它的还是很卡吗？就是你们听得到吗 ？Okay, okay, great. So there's two answers, right? Genitive and ablative, right? Yeah, that's great. There's no other answers. So it is genitive or ablative, or. But take a look in the grammar. It must be one of them, right? So it cannot be both. So like okay, so I will explain it. So it is actually for the E stem, right? For the E stem, genitive formulae, they are the same, right? They are the same. But in this context, if we take a look, so we will check the sutra in detail. So there are actually two words in this sutra, and the second word is pretty clear, right? This is akroshe, and akroshe means insult, and it is in locative, right? So akroshe, it is pretty clear. It is locative, locative singular. And locative means just similar, can be compared like the German by, yeah. So by or in the case, so meaning, the genitive meaning is actually in the case of, right? In the case of, in the situation of, in the situation. So I just avoid the word case. Okay. So in the situation of insult, we should do something, right? And then what we should do, what we should do is here, before a final member of a compound, look does not replace the six. So actually the meaning here is replace, right? Replace. So the key point here is replace. So it means that look does not replace the genitive, right? So the example is So this is an example, right? Called Chaudasya Kura. It means that the family of a thief. So this is actually no insult, right? So he is a thief. So this is not an insult. So it just tells actually the fact that this is the family of a thief. So there's no insult. A thief is a thief. There's no insult, right? So here, in this case, genitive is there, right? Genitive remains. So there is no replacement of genitive in here, right? Here, right? So this is one case. But this sutra tells you that if you want to express insult, you have to replace the genitive, like brahmana kula. So if you want to say that, if you want to say the family of a Brahmin, and as an insult, so it actually reminds us probably of the what we discussed in our group, Rachmaninov, right? So the Russian name Rachmaninov actually comes from the Sanskrit word Brahman, right? Or Brahmana, yeah. Yeah, from the Brahman, yeah, and Brahman, but in the sense of this Rahmanin, this is actually has a meaning for lazy. Okay, so you already see that in the Sanskrit text, Brahmin, the family of a Brahmin can mean something negative. It is an insult. And then in this case, look means actually zero. Look actually deletion, yeah, or zero. We can put it here, zero. So in the case of insult, a zero or deletion does not replace the genitive. So because you see that the genitive, there's no genitive, right? So in the, wait a minute, I got it wrong, sorry. I got it wrong. Does not replace the genitive. Here, sorry, this is an insult. The family of a thief, this is an insult. I make a mistake. And this is not an insult. So if you want to express insult, this is the insult, the deletion does not replace the genitive. Does not replace means that the genitive remains, right? The genitive remains here. This is an example for this sutra. And then let's turn back to the problem of genitive or ablative. So actually genitive, the correct answer is actually genitive. Because genitive in Pāṇini means replace instead of. Okay. So this is actually a genitive because in Pāṇini grammatic, if you use a genitive, it means replace or instead of this. Okay. Yeah, okay. So this is actually an example, but yeah, this is another example not related. Sorry, I have to correct it. So in this case, insult. This is not an insult. This is to be specific. This is actually irony, right? This is irony. This is irony. 就讽刺，这个应该是一种讽刺，这不应该叫侮辱，对吧 ？OK， 我用中文再解释一遍，就可能有点复杂，而且我刚才还犯了一个错误。OK， 这句话的意思是什么呢？就是说，就是在你想表达 侮辱的时候，就是指责或者侮辱这样的情况的时候，你需要用到这条规则。然后这条规则是什么呢？就是说，当你想表达一种指责和侮辱的时候，你在构成复合词的话，你在构成复合词的时候，并不会那个用零来取代这个属格。就什么叫不会取代呢？就是说，就不大家想象一下，不会取代的意思就是双重否定，对吧？就是说它不会取代这个属格，就是说它还是属格，对吧？就零不会取代这个属格，就是说，就是它还是属格，就是属格还是在这里，对吧？所以说这就是这个。然后这就是为什么这个莎士蒂亚它形式应该是属格，因为属格在帕尼尼语法当中是有特殊含义，表示 replace instead of it. And ablative has also specific meaning in Pāṇini. In Pāṇini, ablative means after. After. And the locative has another meaning, means before. So this is basically the technical meaning of the cases in Pāṇini grammatic. Okay, is it clear for this? 就是能明白吗？ Okay, got it. Okay, so this is basically the sutra in Pāṇini, and then let's move on to the Mahabhashya. So Mahabhashya is a commentary on Pāṇini. This is 6.3.21. 对，就是如果表示贬义的话，那个属格就不能删除，就属格就放在前面。对 ，OK 好。And then let's take a look. This is how do you say that? This is a commentary to Pāṇini grammatic. And this is our sutra, and you see this is a sutra called Shashtiya Akroshe, right? And then, because this is actually, I have to also mention some names. So this is by Pāṇini. There are actually two names here. So this is the biggest form, the biggest font, the biggest size. And with this number, this is the Pāṇini Sutra. And then this one, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, like this. This is Vartika by, this is Vartika by, I'm not sure if it is a long Vartika by Katyayana. Katyayana, yeah. Katyayana, right? Yeah, I have to check it. Yeah, okay, double. Okay. This is also F. Okay. So this is a commentary or examples by Katyayana, and then these small sentences explanation. These are commentary by Pāṇini commentary by Pāṇini. Yeah. Okay. So there are actually three things here, and then you see Katyayana in support of this sutra gives us another example called devānāṃpriya. So actually, devānāṃpriya is also an insult in his time, already in the time of Katyayana. So Katyayana, I'm not sure how old is Katyayana compared. So Pāṇini is basically 4th century BC, yeah. And Katyayana is probably about 500 later. I forgot the exact period. If you know that, you can put it in our group chat. So then you can see that already in the grammatic, we know devānāṃpriya, this one, devānāṃpriya has already considered as one word. And you see, this is a genitive, right? Genitive plural. And remember this example. The example called chaudasya kudam. So chaudasya, this is genitive, right? Genitive. So in this case, this is the insult. So there's no replacement. Yeah, so you have the chaudasya kudam. This is a compound, a genitive inside the compound. And then we have another compound called devānāṃpriya. This is also a single word, a compound. Okay. Do I need to explain it in Chinese? It's a little bit complicated, tricky here. 就是在那个语法学家，这个时代的时候，就可能是500年之后，因为我不是很确定，所以我就不写了。就是他呢，在他的时代，就他已经发现这个用法发生语义的变化了。就所谓原来属于神的，或者是国王，因为这个原来是国王他自己的王，他自己的称呼嘛，然后他已经有贬义了。然后这种贬义呢，它就直接构成一个复合词，然后这个复合词的前面一个部分是属格，然后这个就是帕尼尼语法当中规定的一种情况，就是说如果你想表示贬义的话，那复合词当中是可以保留属格的，大概是这样的意思。就可以保留属格，不是说所有的情况都要把属格写出来，而是说你表示贬义的时候，你属格是可以不用删掉的，就是这样的意思。Okay, so this is actually the explanation of the 2 points. And then let's move on to the second part. Okay, probably another thing. We talked about koine today. Someone asked the question, right? The koine, the word koine in Greek, it's written like in Greek, it's written koine. And we know from the, how do you say that? I checked the encyclopedia. Wait a minute. It is a pretty useful, dictionary you can use, and published by Brill. It's called Encyclopedia of Ancient Greek Languages and Linguistics. And you put koine here, and then you see there's a kind of detailed introduction, and you see koine is based actually on Attic and Ionic, and it is the Greek which served as the lingua franca during the Hellenistic and the Roman periods. Okay, but we're not going to talk about koine today, and we are going to talk about the word koine. And the word koine, if you check the dictionary, you of course find the meaning of koine here. If you check koine here, you find koine, make it a little bit bigger, yeah. And I guess probably you all know that koine comes from the word called common, shared in common. So it makes perfect sense for the Koine Greek, because Koine Greek is something used by almost all the people in the Greek in the empire, right? Okay, but if you check if you check the Greek Bible, Greek New Testament, if you check the Greek New Testament, and there's a sentence called, so this is a translation here, and when they saw some of his disciples eat bread with defiled, that is to say, with unwashed hands, they find fault. I don't need to translate into Chinese. I guess you all know that. So it says that you can, if you eat something, eat bread with defiled, with dirty hands, it is a fault. It is a mistake, right? And what is the word for defiled? This is the English translation, of course, yeah. And what is the Greek word for defiled? It is koinos, right? And koinos is the word koine. So how does the word common, how could this common word mean defiled? It's a little bit strange, right? And then if we check the Gothic, so this is a Gothic translation of the Bible, and if certainly know this is hand, right? This is handun. This is dative plural of Gothic called handun. And then the Gothic translation of Greek koinos is called gamaion. And can anyone guess with which German word is this gaman? This is actually the stem, right? Or this is a stem. Gaman. Does anyone know? Yeah, that's right. So this is actually the German word gemein, and gemein means same, common. Yeah. So yeah, shared by all. So the semantic development, you can find it in the Greek dictionary. Like if you check the Greek dictionary, koinos, in New Testament, koinos means common and profane. And from the common profane meaning, it developed the meaning bad or not good, defiled. So this is basically the logic for koinos. Yeah. And last one. If you want to check there's actually a special dictionary for New Testament Greek, and it is called a Greek English lexicon of the New Testament and other early Christian literature. And it is, and there's a German version called Griechisches Deutsches Wörterbuch zu den Schriften des Neuen Testaments und der frühen Literatur, christlicher Literatur, and which is about 12 years earlier. So it is pretty obvious the English dictionary was translated from the German dictionary. You see, this is a cover, and you see that revised and edited by William Dunker and based on Walter Bowers. So it is actually translated from the German dictionary. And this is actually published in 2000. And actually, in 2011, there's a new version of the German. This is a new version. I think this is a fourth. Right? Yeah, this is a new version published by published in 2011. Yeah, and this has not been translated into English. And all the previous versions, you see that this is the second version. I'm not sure if I can make it bigger. Yeah. So this is the second version. So this second version is also translated from, you see, the English first version. The English second version is translated from the German one, and the English third version edition is also translated from the German one. But the newest German version has not been translated. So probably if you want to use the updated version of the New Testament lexicon, you have to understand German. Yeah, okay. Or you have to wait another 20 years to for the English translation. Okay. So this is basically the points. And as I said, today we're going to talk about Homeric Greek. So let's, and probably we can make a short break before we move on. And okay, so probably I make a brief summary. We talked about the word philos and the compound again, and I pointed out that pay attention to the O vowel here, and pay attention to the A vowel here. It tells you from which word comes the compound. The O is from the noun, and the A is from the verb. So this is basically, you find it here. Okay, and then we talked about the morphological problem. This is a very popular class of adjectives in Greek and also in Sanskrit, as or as. So this is why we have in Sanskrit as, and in Greek as, yeah? Okay, and a genitive called us. So it looks quite different, right? As and us, this looks quite different. But if you know the background, if you know the logic behind it, it's pretty clear. And compared with the Sanskrit as and asas, as and actually asos, but the s disappears between vowels. And then we talked about the semantic change of devānāṃpriya. And for this devānāṃpriya, and we make use of Pāṇini, make use of Pāṇini Sutra called Shashtiyah Akroshe. And this Shashtiyah actually is genitive. It's genitive because genitive in Pāṇini means replace instead of it, and then that's the example, right? So if we want to express an insult, you keep the genitive. It does not replace. Yeah, okay. And then we also checked the example mentioned by the commentator called Katyayana. The example is devānāṃpriya. This is also a genitive, but genitive plural, different from this example. This is genitive singular, right? Chaurasya. But here it is genitive plural. Okay. And then we talked about the word koinos or koinos in Greek. Original meaning is common, but in later Greek, in later stage, in the New Testament Greek, it actually has a meaning of defiled, which derived from the word from the meaning common. Which what common is kind of profane, like profane, and then defiled, which is religiously not allowed, something like that. Okay, or not suitable. Yeah, and then it has a counterpart in Germanic. Means in Gothic it's called Germania, and in German it's gemein. Okay, so this is basic. And then the New Testament dictionary, if we want to read a New Testament, there's a special dictionary called, this is the cover you see. Yeah. And there's a new version which has not been translated into English. So if you want to use an updated version, you have to, how do you say that? You have to use, oh, this is a grammar, sorry. This is a grammar to the New Testament. And there's a new version of the dictionary. Yeah, okay. Sorry, this is a grammar, sorry. So if you want to read New Testament, you can use this grammar. It's very detailed grammar. A lot of, I think it's about 700 or 800 pages. It's 800 pages. It's really detailed. Yeah. So this is, this is basically for the first part. And the second part, we will check the linguistic features of the Homeric Greek. Okay, so let's make a short break. And before we move on, you can check it. So we're going to read this passage. This is very famous Byzantine scholar on Homer. Okay, so we will come back. Okay. And someone, someone told me that I should stop recording and continue recording after I come back. Yeah, I can do this. Okay. So let's continue. So the second part is about the linguistic features of the Homeric Greek. And already in the ancient tradition, in the common, well, for example, in Byzantine works, works by a very important Byzantine scholar called Chrysostom, and he has actually another name, but I forgot it, called Dio Pro something. Yeah, if you check this in the internet, you will find him. Yeah, and he wrote several important works, and one of his work is called Trojan Discourses. So I will read it. So peride tu porta mu frasas hemin hoti u scamandros ara xanthos legoito paratois theos autos hutos ede entois epesi onomate hos u monon exon auto tas aras grotas mignue tas ton Helenon, sorry. Kai pote men aiorizen, pote de dorizen, pote de yazen, ara kai diasti, dialegesti. Okay, I highlighted. We do not actually need to read all the passages, but the basic meaning is that so talking about the river, it is called Xanthos by the gods. So actually, in the Homeric Greek, there are different languages, not only human language, but also God, the language by the gods. Sorry, wait a minute. So according to so actually in the Homeric Greek, in Homer, different languages, and in the sense that human language, human languages, and then languages of gods, languages used by gods. So in human languages, Homer says that Homer used a name called Scamander. But if the gods talk about the river, it has another name called Xanthos. So this is this is not our topic today. We are going to talk about the different languages among the humans, like alas glotas mitnue tas ton helenon. So he mix is mignue, to mix. This is to mix. This is infinitive. Sorry. Okay. So mignue is mix. Mignue is mix, and then tas to helenon. So tas refers to tas glotas, and glota is ton. Tons, and of course, in the sense of languages, right? Languages. Okay. So mix the various dialects, various dialects of the Greeks, of the Hellene. Greek is called Hellene. Okay. And then there are several varieties, namely Aeolic. Aeolic, the dialects used, for example, by Sappho, 就萨福用的方言叫 Aeolic, and in Greek it's called Aeolizen. The zen, the z is a suffix to build a verb, and then there's another dialect called Dolos or Dorian. It's Dorian dialect. And then there's also Ionic, 伊奥尼亚，就是今天群里有人问的，就是伊奥尼亚方言到底是什么？然后 in Greek it's called Iozen, And then there's also the language by Zeus. It's called Diasti, It's the language by Zeus. So we're not going to talk about the language by Zeus. This is equally here, Xanthos. But we can talk about like Aeolic, Dorian, and also Ionic. So this is basically what we are going to check today. So we are not going to read a lot, but I just want to tell you that Homeric Greek, Homer, epics, mixture of different layers. Different layers. Okay? So Homer's Homeric Greek or Homer's epics. So Iliad and the Odyssey are not in the sense of our normal fictions or novels. There's actually no single poet who created all the texts. There's no such people. There's no such person. And the real picture is that in Greek, how to say that? I make a probably. So this is a map of ancient Greece. So actually, in a lot of these areas, a lot of regions, they have their own epic traditions. They have their own how to say that, various regions with their own epic traditions or narrative traditions. So before the birth of Iliad and Odyssey. And Iliad, Odyssey, we always consider that Iliad is probably 8th century. Yeah. So even before Iliad, there existed a lot of epic traditions, a lot of narrations, a lot of and also storytellers. And then they combined or they compiled all these, not all, of course, they compiled a lot of these epic stories, epic traditions, and into a, how to say that, a piece of work called Iliad, and so on. Yeah. So you will certainly, so if this is a mixture of different layers and different traditions, and especially we have different dialects, like Lesbos, this is Aeolic, and this is Ionia, this is Ionic, and in Attica, of course, and also here we have also Doric dialects. So there's certainly some unevenness, right? 就是会你看的话，肯定会看到一些不一样的地方，对不对？好 ，Now let's turn back to the real text, and I suppose that you all, wait a minute. So we are going to read this passage, the famous opening of Odyssey. So I read first the Greek, and we check the translation, and then we analyze the forms. So the Greek is called anδρα moi enepe musa polytropon hos mara pora. Pranchese or pranchese epetroies hieron ptoriesron epelse poron dantropon idon astea kai non egno. Polato gen ponto pasen arger hon kata sumon. My reading, I'm not good at reading Greek, as you all can see. Probably Mr. John, or Mr. Joe can read better. So the meaning is that we check it one by one. This is, yeah. So tell me, muse. Muse is here, musa. Muse, yeah, I think you know what muse means, right? Of course, it's not so easy answer, but you know that they are goddesses, right? Or one of the muses. There are several. I forgot the exact number. So muse is musa, and then anδρα is the man, right? And the man is, and of course you probably know the man refers to Odyssey, right? To Odysseus, yeah. And moi is me, and it is dative singular to me. It is moi is to me. So I put it here. I just use a transcription here. So anδρα is accusative singular, man, right? And the moi, or do you prefer Greek letters, right? Or I can write Greek letters, right? Anδρα moi. And this is to me, dative singular, right? And then enepe is sin, or the tail. It is actually tail. Yeah, it is imperative. Okay. And then musa is vocative, muse, vocative singular, muse, goddess. Yeah. And then polytropon, yeah, means many ways or many turns. Yeah, many ways. It's an adjective. of many ways or knowing many ways, terms probably. Yeah. And then hos. Hos is a relative pronoun. Who. Yeah. Who. And the mara pora Planche is he has been driven, and Planche is driven. Planche. Okay. Planche. Wait a minute. So Planche, it is driven. Called driven. Yeah. It is it is aorist part. It is aorist passive. Okay, he has been driven. Many journeys. This is actually a lot of bad things, right? I'm pretty sure. Wait a minute. Mara is probably bad, right? Strengthening, sorry. It's a word for strengthening the word with which it stands. Yeah. It's only a strengthening word called Mara Pora. So many, very many, yeah, right? Okay, many. So enough for now. And then you see this one here, right? What does this mean? The first word is this. I highlight this word under. I sorry. I'm afraid that we can only finish this word today. Yeah. But it's okay. We are not catching up someone, right? We are not catching up someone. Yeah. Catching up with. Yeah. And then andra is actually accusative singular. But if you check another example, in N131, and N131 is Ilias, not Odyssey, namely the book 13 of Ilias. So let's check it. Book 13 of Ilias. So let's go back to the Ilias. Wait a minute. Book 13. Oh, sorry, second volume. 131. So this is book 13, and let's move on to, sorry, here. Yeah, here. You see, books 1.1 is here. I'll make it a little bit bigger. So here, wait a minute. So here you see, so it describes also kind of a fighting, a fight between people, right? So it is colus, colon, and anera, ane. So men against men, right? So this ane, I'll write it here. So wait a minute. So the word ane is nominative singular, right? Yeah. And then this one is nominative. But is accusative singular, right? So now comes my question. Which one is correct? Or so one or two or both? So which one is correct? Number one is andra, number two is anera, and which one is correct, or which one is more correct? Yeah, which one? Tell me your answer. So first choice. What about others? I think both. Okay. So the third one, the second answer is both. Okay. Okay. So so basically we have three. We have three possibilities: first, second, or both. Okay. And does anyone know with which Sanskrit word is andra or anera? Andra, you find it actually in Alexandra, or Alexandra, Alexandra, 亚历山大嘛, Alexandros. And Alexandros actually contains this andros, right? Yeah, andros. Yeah. Okay. So can anyone tell me the Sanskrit word? Yeah, great. Yeah, it is sorry, wait a minute. It is a Sanskrit word called nara. And then let's check the Sanskrit dictionary. So the Sanskrit dictionary, you find it here. The word nara. So this is a word called nar, not nara. Yeah, nara means man, right? Yeah, that's the correct answer. So let's check it. Let's check it. So actually, we have in Sanskrit. So so here comes something interesting. If we check Sanskrit dictionary, right? We check Sanskrit dictionary. This is the Sanskrit dictionary we really use. So if you put nada here, yeah, also you find it, right? Yeah, nada, a man, a male. That's okay, right? That's no problem. So this is nada, man. Yeah, but in Sanskrit, in Meyerhofer, it is nar. It's nar. And can anyone tell me again which one is older, or which one is more correct? Which one is more correct? Or which one is or older? Yes, correct. This one is older. Yeah. Yeah. So this one is older. Yeah. This one is older. Yeah. Okay. And then let's move on to the first we check this word, nar. Why nar is older? Because let's check the Avestan form. Check this line. Check this line. This is very important. And also check this line. This is also important. Yeah. These two parts are really important. Check first the Sanskrit one. In Sanskrit, accusative singular called naram, dative nare, nominative plural naras, accusative plural, and so on. So what is the nominative singular? of nar, there's no nominative singular in Rigveda. There's no nominative singular in Rigveda, but in Avestan, check the Old Avestan form. Avestan, it is pretty great. In Old Avestan, we have a form called nar. Called nar. And where does this nar come from? Nar comes from nar plus s. And nar plus s, it disappears and it becomes a nar. Yeah, this is actually the logic. This is actually logic. And why? In Sanskrit we have nada in dictionary, in Williams dictionary? Why? Because it is based on the accusative form. Let's check it. This is like the basic form, and if you want to build a, how to say that, accusative, you put it like this, right? Accusative singular, and this M will become this one. It becomes this one, and then this one turns into naram. Yeah. This is actually the logic, and then from naram, the new form was created. This is why you find in Morgan-Williams other dictionaries nada, but in Vedic dictionary it is nar. It is older, yeah, because we have in Old Avestan this form. This is the oldest form. This is pretty old, yeah. And now let's turn back to the Greek material. So the Indo-European form is actually this one, right?啊，不好意思，今天又拖堂了，实在是不好意思，希望你们不要太介意。So if you want to build accusative, what should you do? You put a M at the end, right? And this M becomes this one, right? So if we want to build a Greek, so this is PIE, is called, right? This is PIE, right? PIE, this is a stem. And accusative singular ending is M. This is M. So Greek, if you want to build the accusative in Greek, it should look like this. And then at the end turns into right? And then what is the result of the Greek form? It is, H2 turns into R, and the M at the end is called R, right? So this is actually the older form. Yeah, the older form. Yeah. So let's turn back to this one. So here, anera, this is actually the older form. This is actually older form, anera. And andra, anera. And where does this andra come from? Andra, where? Because, check it, this is a stem, right? This is E grade, right? E grade. What should the 0 grade look like? If you want to build a 0 grade, we just delete this A, right? This is a 0 grade. And then from the zero grade, you put an M at the end. And this M and this will turn into M. Then it is adra. And this adra turns into an andra with this word. With a D between, just like the word for die, it's called, so what is, does anyone know this word? I check it. Ambrosia. This is this word. I think some of you probably know this word. Ambrosia. Ambrosia. Ambrosia is a food for the gods. This ambro is actually this ambro is actually connected with the Sanskrit word mar, and the PPP mar means to die. This is not a German. This is in German. It's sterben. Yeah. Sterben. This is English, and then this ambrosia is actually unsterblicher, immortal, not died, not to die. Yeah, it's actually a negation of the PPP of mar is mrita, right? In Sanskrit, this is Sanskrit, and then if you put a negation, it should look like. If you put negation, it should like amrita, right? And amrita is similar. It's actually connected with Greek. This is Greek. This is Greek. And this is Sanskrit. So mr corresponds to umbro. So for the Greek, it is probably not easy to pronounce M plus R. So they put a b inside, in between. They put a b in between, just like this case. 就是在希腊语当中，它会在两个这种流音中间插入一个齿音。So between two resonant, so between two resonant, 就是在这两个音中间，它会插入一个的便于发音，或者有可能是便于发音，跟这个是一样的，就是它会中间插一个唇音在中间。So this is actually the logic. Okay, they put a consonant in between to facilitate the pronunciation. This is facilitate the pronunciation. So this is basically the reason for andra. So here for andra, it is actually the zero grade. But why zero grade is not really correct? Because accusative singular is a strong form. It should not use a zero grade. This is the reason. So accusative singular is strong form. E grade is preferred. So this is basically the reason. Okay. Okay, so this is actually everything for today. And wait a minute. Yeah, suddenly it starts raining. Yeah. Okay, so this is basic for today. And before we finish, let's make a short review. So first we talk about wait a minute. We talk about the morphological problem, actually, not really the etymological problem. So the morphological problem of the Greek adjectives ending in s, so it goes back to this s neuter, and this is nominative, and wait a minute. Yeah, this is the nominative. You have is in Greek and as in Sanskrit, and also esos in Greek. In Sanskrit is asas, and in Greek is eos. S disappears between vowels, and then e and o contracted to u. This is the reason. And then we talk about the semantic change of the famous title of Ashoka, devānāṃpriya, which becomes an insult, kind of a negative meaning. Okay, and then we talk about the word koine. It, of course, originally means common, but common to all, shared by all. But in New Testament Greek, it means something profane, something defiled, and corresponding to semantically to Germanic word like gamenia or gemein. And we also mentioned that for New Testament Greek, there's a dictionary. The English one was translated from the German one. Okay, and then we talk about the linguistic features of the Homeric Greek, and there are not only human languages but also languages for the used by the gods, reserved for the gods. And inside the human languages, there's a mixture of the various dialects. Okay, and for example, Aeolic or Dorian or Ionic. And then we analyzed the beginning of the beginning part of Odyssea, and we analyzed this word. We analyzed this word aner, man. The accusative has actually two forms in Greek. The first word in Odyssey, andra, is actually the later form. The earlier form is preserved in Idias, called anera, because in Sanskrit we have naram, and also in Avestan we have this form. In Avestan we have naram, right? Naram, and this earth sign is actually comes for a bit of a higher sound. Yeah, it's actually comes from naram, but this r in certain context was raised to this sound. Okay, and then because there's kind of an upload, the andra form, the andra form is actually from the zero grade called h. It's difficult to pronounce, I know. And then this turns regularly to andra, and andra, you can try it yourself. Andra is difficult, so they put a d between, make it andra. And then similar cases, you find it in ambrosia, corresponding to Sanskrit amrita. Okay, so this is basically for today. And sorry for the delay, about 15 minutes. Okay. Okay, yeah, this is for today. And we will see each other on Monday and also on Tuesday, if you are interested. Okay. Okay, you are very welcome. 就不客气。然后我把那个会议终止，然后我把那个文件还是传到网上。OK， 好，那大家周末愉快。 OK，schönes Wochenende，schönes Wochenende。OK，拜拜。